Welcome to the SNN Network Canada virtual event. I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Douglas Jensen, President and CEO of Aequus Pharmaceuticals. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry about being a little bit late joining. Aequus is a Canadian-based specialty pharma company with a focus on eye care. We've been adding commercial products to our sales force's bag for the last few years, and have a business that is approaching break even from the cash flow, and has a number of kind of near-term opportunities to continue to add revenue to products that we sell, both prescription RX in Canada and products that we sell over the counter, and that business continues to grow, and we've got a few kind of higher value projects that we're working on right now. The business has both commercial development and reimbursement skill sets here in Canada. We've worked with Canadian regulators for a number of years bringing eye care products into Canada, and the second you do that, you need to then go work your way through the payers and the reimbursement structure, and we have a lot of experience and understanding there. If we go to slide 4, the business has done a lot of transactions over the last 5 years. We've kind of built the business with a partnership model right from the get-go. Our first 2 products that we brought into Canada came from Sandoz off of a co-promotion agreement, and we continue to sell those assets today. We've built revenues on our glaucoma drug, Titan, which was the first deal we did with Sandoz. We've had a 45% annual compounded growth rate for the last 5 years, and that's not in a static market. That's us taking market share from much bigger players like Allergan and Alcon in the glaucoma space. So we've kind of ramped from there and evolved into the spot where we're now starting to license products and bring them into Canada ourselves. So not a co-promotion, but a direct license or ownership of programs. And we see a lot of growth opportunity going forward. The first program was Titan, which is the 0.03% version of the Matapros, so a really successful glaucoma drug. We brought it back to market, rebranded it as Titan, and our sales force has been marketing it for a number of years. To that, we've added a number of new products that cover dry eye disease. So this Titan is a prescription product, whereas the dry eye products we sell to optometrists and eye care specialists. So it's not prescription; it's over the counter. And then we have a couple specialty products that we sell as well that aren't in the eye care space. The sales force is very focused on the main population centers in Canada. As you guys can all recognize, Canada is a big country geographically, but most of the population's in 6 or 7 urban centers, and that's where our sales force is really concentrated. One of the advantages, I guess advantage, but just the fact that the Canadian market is, Wall Street didn't wake up today wondering where that next $10 million Canadian product is going to come from. We do, and there's not a lot of competition out there looking for eye care assets in Canada, unless they're novel drugs coming out of pharma getting ready, to be introduced to the market. So we really like this marketplace that we're in, and being able to keep adding programs and revenue and to our business for a number of years. This Titan, as I mentioned, was the first product that we launched. It was a Sandoz drug that started to lose market share based off of competition from other, at that time, other glaucoma drugs were being launched. We were able to set up a branding exercise and a marketing plan, and have been growing revenue steadily since launch. As I mentioned, 45% compounded revenue annual growth rate against active competitors. From that base, a year and a half ago, in 2021, we licensed in drugs out of Europe called Zymed, which is a preservative-free version of ours, Titan. That's now being reviewed by Health Canada. We expect to get approval sometime kind of mid next year and launch before the end of next year. That program has roughly a $5 million Canadian market opportunity for us, which we think will be pretty quickly achieved because all the patients currently on Viz-Titan, who we're selling to today, will have access to them to introduce them to the preservative-free version. So it should be a fairly smooth transition, and will give patients two different choices to deal with their glaucoma. Tacrolimus is a second product that we're performing from that we're commercializing. My apologies, commercializing for Sandoz, and has continued to grow market share year after year in the face of a lot of competition. I'm mentioning that point is, a lot of people feel that no one can compete with large pharma for market share. The reality is you can when the product's important to you. So as you can appreciate, lots of pharma has a lot of programs that they really make a lot of effort on around launch and that first kind of growth ramp. But once they get mature, they tend to move on to the next one. Where as companies like us can start taking market shares away when our pharma competitors are taking their eye off the ball and moving to the next shiny thing in their portfolio. So we're really confident that we can continue this model for other products in the eye care space now that we have a lot of infrastructure there. Vault programs were two opportunities to be licensed out of the UK last year, and we launched earlier this year. They're both over-the-counter intensive gels for dry eye patients. Huge market. There's not really anything that works consistently and long-term for dry eye, so patients are constantly looking for different combinations and different types of products. And we've been adding these two products, and we're certainly in discussions to add additional eye care products into Canada that will focus on dry eye and these other over-the-counter opportunities. And the OTC market is really attractive to us because it doesn't have the kind of same regulatory burdens, and you can get a lot more entrepreneurial in how you work with optometrists and the big aggregators in the eye care space like Vision Group or I Recommend. And look in the future to see us. We've already partnered with a number of eye care specialists, around e-commerce platforms, but look to us to go even further and start allowing them to white label our products under their own brand as they deal with their large optometry chains. So, you can get a lot more flexible in the over-the-counter space as far as how you can build relationships and incent your clinical base than what you can do, obviously, in the prescription market, which is rightfully so very regulated. When we look at programs, our kind of goal is profitability off the asset within 12 months. Usually they're launched or near to be launched, and then we continue to see new opportunities as we look for eye care companies across Europe and North America, and when we see attractive products that aren't available in Canada, that's when we start making our efforts to go set up a distributorship or a partnership for Canada. Right now we're in discussions with a European player for six products that are not available in Canada that we think makes a lot of sense. The European partner doesn't have any infrastructure here, so it's that kind of scenario where we find most of our assets to date. This short-term focus is on profitability, to get the business in a financially stable position, which we are right now. Essentially, our burn is really under $250K a year right now. And the next step for our business is to start adding products that have higher growth, higher value, and we can continue to do our commercial efforts and drive bigger revenue numbers to our business. We've built a good floor for the business, and we're always raising that floor by adding revenues. But we certainly want to start growing the ceiling with more material products, sexier products that have more value that comes with them. The development program side of our business is just starting now as we're partnering with a Boston-based a company called Revision that has proprietary orphan drug disease product for a disease called Stargardt. So it's a rare genetic disorder that leads to blindness in folks who have the disorder, usually by the time that they're in their teens. There's no treatment, and this program, Revision, has developed an interesting repurpose of an old product that has given encouraging data in animal models, and we're looking forward to working with Revision to advance this into the clinic here in the next few months. Whether you know the eye care space or just in general, there's a number of investors who, especially from a specialty healthcare audience, that really focus on orphan drug diseases because of all the different incentives that FDA gives developers of orphan drug products to move that business forward. So everything from vouchers for priority reviews that have a lot of market value to abbreviated regulatory pathways and other things. It's an attractive area, and most importantly, as mostly recognized in the orphan space, pricing tends to be pricing is high, and it reflects the smaller patient population that occurs with these diseases, but the high unmet need that requires the industry to go find treatments and cures for these type of really severe rare diseases. So that's an area that's become a bigger part of our business as we go forward, and kind of represents the first program in our portfolio that really raises the roof as opposed to raising the floor. Our success factors for this year are going to be based around continuing to drive sales with our current products and adding additional programs. We are in front of our clinical audience frequently. Our call frequency is high. Part of it is we're not just selling them on the assets we have. We really use our clinical base to help us vet programs and identify projects that they see elsewhere. As you can appreciate, an ophthalmologist in Toronto has the same day-to-day business and the same interest in new products that an ophthalmologist in New York or London has. That level of first world medicine, these type of specialists all traffic together at conferences and things like that. And we often get, it used to be we'd have to ask the question, but now more and more we'll have Canadian clinicians contact us and say, I'm seeing this device in Europe, why don't we have it here? Or this product's available, overseas, how do we get it into Canada? And things like that, where a lot of our, probably more than half of our business development conversations come from, are initiated from our salespeople talking to their customers, clinicians, and asking them, what do you need now? What's interesting you, and where do you see opportunities? And we're going to continue to leverage those relationships as we go forward. I mentioned briefly Zymed, which is currently under review by Health Canada. This is the first, or it's a new preservative-free prescription, and Canada has been late to the game around preservative-free. Certainly, Europe was leaders in that, and then and we're catching up between ourselves and a few of our competitors. A number of preservative-free products are now being introduced into Canada, and it's happening because there's demand. Ophthalmologists are now expecting products to be preservative-free based off of toxicity concerns. So we're happy to be one of the first bringing programs, and certainly there's others after Zymed that we're going to be introduced into Canada. For us, that's I believe that's the end of the slide deck, and I'm happy to take any questions from the group. So I see a question from Bob. Over the next question is, where do we expect to see the company in the next 2 to 3 years? We're hoping to have the business, firmly profitable, with, roughly 10 million in annual sales in Canada under our belt, and being in phase 2 studies on at least one, if not 2, proprietary programs that have more traditional value in pharma. One of them would be the Stargardt's program that I mentioned, the orphan drug. And that one, it's proprietary to our partner, but we view that as a really important program to us and continue to help them drive it. And we're looking for other programs like that. Our model works as far as refreshing or reinvigorating, older products that aren't getting a lot of sales, focus from the larger companies. And there's a ton of assets out there like that. The opportunities are big, and we want to start now focusing on, growing revenues at a 45% compound rate for $10 million products as opposed for $2 million products. So that's the real key of our evolution here over the next few months. Next question is about accessing U.S. investors. I've been in capital markets most of my life, and I spent a lot of time on both sides of the border, and I recognize that lots of sophisticated U.S. investors and funds are not really able to accomplish much with a $25 million Canadian market cap business. So our view in the U.S. is we're going to focus more and more as we deserve to. And what I mean by that is, as Stargardt's program moves its way into clinic and then through into phase 2, we expect to be really ramping up our audience of U.S. investors over that time frame. There's a number of funds that exclusively work on orphan products. So that's an area that we'll be focusing on as we, throughout next year and the year after. But as of right now, today, U.S. investors are a big part of our marketing efforts. We just continue to try to drive the fundamentals of the business, and we're confident that as we're successful with that, we'll be successful at accessing larger investors on both sides of the border. Next question is, what other companies are like AQS in Canada? There's a number of spec pharma companies here in Canada. If you think about bioscience and groups like that, Valio, there's a number of companies that are looking to bring generic or rebranded products into Canada. We're unique because we're one of the few that are focused just purely on eye care. So that's what we think is different for us. In the eye care space, it's mostly dominated by large multinationals, the names that Allergan, Alcon, Novartis, others. As far as folks who are in our space, our model's not the easiest to go execute on. It takes a fair amount of business development effort and skills, and so as a direct competitor, we don't have a direct competitor in the eye care space that's working on the type of deal structures that we are. Our goal is to kind of, as we grow, is to somewhat grow out of this current structure or strategy that we have, and be in a strong position with a good base of business and a lot of clinician relationships to start doing bigger, more aggressive transactions that obviously that would start leading to competition over time. Looking for any other more questions. Next question is the potential for Stargardt and how big is this market opportunity? Stargardt, it's interesting. So patients, it's a genetic, it's a genetic disorder that results in the patient not being able to clear lipids from their eye, and over time, that buildup will start to lead to damage to their rods and cones, which leads to vision loss and eventually blindness. It's similar to a disease called age-related macular degeneration, where in that case it's not a genetic issue that's causing a faulty mechanism of clearing lipids from the eyes. It's just age, and so there's could be a chance for the program to kind of work in both of those areas. Our rights within Vision are focused on Stargardt's. So models, the estimate for the value is between 120 and 150 million US a year at peak, and that's driven by a price per treatment that's going to be fairly high, typical of other orphan products, 25,000 plus per patient per treatment. So the market is big, especially obviously compared to where we are today. One other thing that's really attractive about Stargardt is it doesn't require a large sales force. There's not a lot of patients out there that have it, and every one of them tends to be collected, early, either once they're born and they get diagnosed with Stargardt, or in some cases during fetal screening and things like that. So in our industry, there's scientific salespeople called medical science liaisons, and we think we could cover all of North America in the Stargardt space with 10 to 12 medical science liaisons. So the market potential is meaningful, and the margin and profitability of that market is even more attractive to us and Vision, who are our partners. So we think it's a really important clinically, and the real opportunity for us and Vision to move this program to market. Any other questions? I'm seeing none right now. All right. I'm guessing we're all finished from my side. If there's no other questions, I just want to thank you all for your time. I'm sorry for being a little bit late. My technical skills are prehistoric, so apologies for that. And I want to thank everyone for the time. And happy holidays. Thanks.